Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Ranking State Capitals Part 3. And as you can see, I am back in my room. Yay, because my roommate isn't here. He's at his mom's house. And as you can see, my ranking notebook thing isn't here because I already filmed the video, but on the last state, it got cut off because I ran out of space. So I'm just going to say, I'm not going to show it on screen because no spoilers. But I'll just try to make the video again, but faster. And I'll tell you what I wrote down for it. Okay. So first state is Massachusetts. As you can see, the capital is Boston, which is the biggest city. And as for in the middle of the state, it's close enough to the middle of the state, I guess. And the center of population is in Natick. I don't know how to pronounce that. Can someone tell me? Maybe it's one of those weird pronunciations like Worcester, Worcester. Anyway, the center of population is in the Boston metro area, and Boston is the capital, and it's the biggest city, I think by far. I don't know. So I gave it an A, ma. Yeah. Also, it's grouped with Rhode Island on this map for some reason, like how Maryland was with Delaware. I don't know why this map likes grouping together states so much. Next state is Michigan, and the capital is Lansing. As you can see, the biggest city is Detroit. Look at all this stuff. As for the middle of the state, it's not very middle, like north to south, a lot closer to the south, but as east to west across the lower peninsula, it's actually right in the middle, which is why they chose this to be the capital. I mean, unless you include the upper peninsula, then whatever. Okay, so you would expect the center of population to be like near Detroit, but just looking at all of these cities and not the northern part here and the entire upper peninsula, which this part got cut off and put over here, I guess. I don't know. And there's not any big cities up here or up there. So, but there's just so much land that all the people make the center of population go on this river called the Looking Glass River. The Looking Glass River for some reason. It's actually somewhere here, and it's right next to Lansing. And so since it's right next to the center of population, and it's relatively in the middle, and it's one of the 5 biggest cities, I'm pretty sure, I also gave it an A. M-I. Meh. Lansing. Sing. Get it? Because sing. Next state is Minnesota. Now, capital is St. Paul. One of the twin cities, St. Paul and Minneapolis. And as for it's not too close. It's not really that close to the middle of the state. But I think more than half of the people in Minnesota live in the St. Paul and Minneapolis metro area. Because of that, because it's so southeast that the center population is actually northwest of it, but it's still kind of in the metro area, in the far metro area. I forgot exactly where though. And since Minneapolis, I'm pretty sure is a bit bigger of a city, and it's closer to the center population, I would make Minneapolis the capital, especially because it's Minneapolis, Minnesota. But capital St. Paul, which is right next to it. I don't know why. Capital St. Paul for some reason. That's what I said in my original video. Since St. Paul is right there, and it's very similar in population, I gave Minnesota a B. MN. Mn. Anyway, next up. Oh, what? Why is it hard to... What the... What? That was weird. Next up is Mississippi. Now, capital of Mississippi is Jackson. Jackson, Mississippi. And the center of the state is the center of the state and the center of population of the state are like really close to each other. The center of population, at least, is in Leake County, near Lena or Lena. I think Lena. And since Jackson is the closest big city, and it is the biggest city in the state, and it's the capital, I gave Mississippi an A as well. MS. Miss. Anyway, the next state is Missouri. Now, capital is Jefferson City, which you might not be able to tell by just glancing at it. And it is pretty close to the middle of the state. And the funny thing is, it's actually like right next to the center of population. It's like right there. The center of population is like right there, and Jefferson City is here, which is pretty cool. Jefferson City is really just small city though, compared to St. Louis and Kansas City area, which are the biggest in the state. It's right in the middle. Which Kansas City, not even in Kansas. I mean, there is a Kansas City in Kansas, but the way more like one with more people in it is in Missouri. But because it's at the end of the Kansas River, not because it's in Kansas. That's why it's called Kansas City. Okay, whatever. Jefferson City. If it was a bigger city, it would be a really good capital for this. But because it's just not even that big, bro. Brohemius, Brotato. I would choose maybe Columbia be the capital. Which, Columbia is also the name for the capital of South Carolina. Which actually, can states have capitals with the same name? Would that theoretically be allowed for two states with capitals to have capitals of the same name? Mm-mm. Well, I like how they color the county outlines on this map. This one, it's hard to see. They're orange dotted outlines. Anyway, because Jefferson City is right next to the center population, but it's just such a small city. I gave Missouri a B. M-O. Ma. Next up is Montana, which capital is Helena or Helena. I'm not sure which vowel is stressed. Helena. Which Montana... Oh, whoops. The case. Montana doesn't really have any, big cities. It has some, pretty decent cities. And Helena is the closest of these pretty decent cities to the center of population, which is around here. Closest town is White Sulphur Springs, though. Why is it called that? Is there a White Sulphur Spring near it? Probably. Anyway, Helena, really close to the center of population. And the center of the state, most of the cities, most of the big city, well, big for this state, big for Montana, big cities are on the west side. So, actually, except for Billings, which I think actually is the biggest city in the state. But because it's the closest big city to the center population. It's also kind of it's one of the 5 biggest cities, I'm pretty sure. Oh, the case the case keeps slipping. I also put Montana an A, MT, MT. Okay, the next up is Nebraska, which the capital is Lincoln. As you can see, the cities kind of just get smaller from east to west. You got Omaha and then Lincoln, and it just kind of, it's just like these kind of decent sized cities over there. So this is the same thing with Montana, but with the east side, except for instead of the west side. For like most of the big city stuff is like on the east side. So being in the middle of the state, kind of here. Lincoln's capital. It is the closest big city to the center of population, which is here in which the center of population is near to Surprise. Surprise. Which I heard that got its name because the person who founded it made like a dam on a creek and was surprised that it could run an entire mill. I don't know. Anyway, Lincoln is close to big city, and it is the second biggest city, just behind Omaha. So I gave this an A as well, N-E, nah. Next up is Nevada, which is an interesting state because most of it is empty, barren wasteland. Woohoo. The main centers of population, the main population centers. I keep saying center of population now when I actually do means population center. I mean the main population centers are like the Las Vegas area, with most of the people in the state, and like Reno, Sparks, kind of like Lake Tahoe, Carson City area over here, in which the capital is Carson City, which can kind of be confusing at first. And there's like in the middle of the state. Come on, what would you choose? Like Austin, Nevada, Austin, Nevada, Austin. The center of population is pretty close to the Las Vegas area because most of the people in the state live there. It's in these one of these like military testing nuke zones where they test nukes or bombs. Actually, I don't know if they still do that. They might. I don't know. But since you can't have any cities in a nuclear testing zone, center population, I guess like Las Vegas would be a fine capital, I guess. But I think this is the same with Illinois and Chicago, that they don't want like all the power for the whole state being in one city. Like Las Vegas already has a lot of control over the rest of the state, and if it was the capital, then it would like have even more control over people who don't want it to. That it's like so far away, it's so different or something. I don't know. It's like similar to like Illinois and Chicago, like I said. Other area here, Reno and Sparks, which capital is Carson City, and I guess you could technically say that Carson City is in between Las Vegas and Reno, Sparks, or just Reno, I guess. Which, like, yeah, technically, but it's like a lot closer there. What else would you choose? Like Hawthorne or Yerington? Yerington? Schurz? Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I guess like why not just choose Reno? But like Carson City, I guess it is kind of a good compromise. But it is like such a small city. But like for this state, Nevada, it's not that small of a city, I guess. Just for the sheer lack of options, I put Nevada in C tier, NV. Next up is New Hampshire, which on this map is grouped with Vermont for some reason. Oh, I forgot with the Maryland and Delaware being grouped together. Also, Kentucky and Tennessee. Remember that? Why do they even do that? This map. Anyway, okay. So, New Hampshire capital is Concord. And as you can see, the main places with people are like this kind of line, Manchester, Nashua, and this stuff near Massachusetts, and stuff near Maine. Which, I guess Concord is, out of these three big cities, it's the closest to the middle of the state. But center of population, it's actually between Concord and Manchester, which I think it is a bit closer to Manchester. So and since Manchester is a bigger city, I would choose Manchester. But Concord is the capital. So the same thing with Alabama, like center population being between two big cities, but closer to the bigger one, but the actual capital is the smaller one. I put Alabama in C tier, so New Hampshire also goes in C tier. NH. Nuh. Next up is the last state you're covering in this video, which actually, as you can, if you remember, the video cut out before I could finish this one. So actually, I have the whole ranking here. I got kind of small with these letters, so I made Mississippi bigger to make these other ones, Montana, Nebraska. New Jersey is an interesting state. It's mostly just the suburbs of two much bigger cities, Philadelphia and New York City. Which there's kind of like a divide between them in the state. It's like a diagonal line going like this way. East and West Germany. East and West Jersey. East and West Jersey. New York and Philadelphia. Jersey. Not Germany. Oh my god. East and West Germany. Anyway. Capital is Trenton, which I don't know why there is not a bunch of orange stuff. You can see on the zoomed in map there's a lot of this orange stuff. Just imagine that's there. Maybe they forgot. Lol. Trenton is a pretty good, like, in-between of New York and Philadelphia. Or Philly. Oh, I forgot to... this map. Yeah, you can see here. I guess Trenton was a lot bigger than these other cities near it in 1988 when this book came out. Anyway, Trenton is a pretty good, like, middle city, and it is a big city. I don't think it's even in the top 10 biggest cities if you include all these suburbs as different cities like Camden and Newark, Jersey City, Patterson. But, like, if you included all of these as just, like, New York, then it'd be so much more population than Trenton. Which, actually, I think Trenton is more, like, on the Philadelphia side than New York. Because, look at all, like, this orange Philly stuff up here, you know? As for the middle of the state, like, close enough, I guess. Like, you know... But as center of population is actually in East Brunswick, which you can see on this zoomed in map of New Brunswick, but not this one. So I guess maybe a good capital would be like New Brunswick or Princeton, because I think Princeton is actually more between Philadelphia and New York than Trenton is, but if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, I guess. But anyway, I'll give this like... Hold on, I gotta pause to think because the video time is almost up. Okay, I thought about it while the video was paused. I think I'll also just give it C tier. N J. Anyway, Yeah, that is all. Full tier list so far. And I will see you again in part 4. Bye.